Before Westeros, before the Iron Throne, before dragons darkened, the skies over King's Landing there was Valyria, a civilization of unimaginable power, beauty, and ambition. Valyrians tamed dragons, bending fire to their will. They built gleaming cities with magic-infused stone, and ruled from the smoking volcanoes of the 14 Flames. They were not kings, they were gods to those who watched from afar. Among the noble families of Valyria, the Targaryens were minor. Wealthy, yes, dragon lords, yes, but not among the great ruling houses of the Freehold. Yet they were different. They had dreams, visions, warnings. Dany's the dreamer, daughter of Lord Anna, saw a future of fire, Valyria destroyed in a cataclysm of flame. Her father believed her, while others mocked and stayed. Anora sold his holdings and fled across the narrow sea with his family, his dragons, and his fortune. He settled on Dragonstone, a grim and ancient fortress at the edge of the world, and there for a century, the Targaryens waited. Then came the doom of Valyria. The volcanoes exploded, the skies burned, the Freehold its towers, its knowledge, its dragons vanished in a single day. Every rival dragonlord perished. Only the Targaryens survived. 100 years later, one man rose to claim not just survival but destiny. Aegon Targaryen, rider of Balerion, the Black Dread, launched an invasion. With his sister wives Visenya and Rhaenys, and their dragons Vivega and Meraxes, he crossed the Blackwater and began the War of Conquest. Westeros was not unified. 7 kings ruled 7 kingdoms: the Stormlands, the North, the Reach, the Vale, Dorne, the Westerlands, and the River. Aegon sought to change that. Fire and blood followed. The Field of Fire burned armies alive. Harrenhal, the largest castle in Westeros, the Stark of Winterfell, bent a knee without a fight after seeing what fire could do. The Vale surrendered. The Reach's army was destroyed. Only Dorne resisted, vanishing into the desert and striking from the shadows. But the rest of the continent, not from love but from fear. At Eggenford, the crude wooden stronghold that would one day become the Red Keep, Aegon was crowned. First of his name, King of all West. He forged the Iron Throne from the swords of his enemies, smelted in dragon fire, twisted, sharp, and uncomfortable by design. It was not a seed of peace, it was a warning. Aegon ruled for decades, laying the foundation of a realm that had never existed before. One king, one law, one throne. His descendants would build upon this legacy or tear it apart. The conquest was complete, but peace was a harder prize. Aegon the Conqueror ruled with fire when needed, but he knew when to show restraint. He kept the laws of the local lords, honored old customs, and allowed each region to keep its identity. His goal was unity, not erasure. His reign set the tone for what the Targaryen dynasty could be: strong but not cruel, feared but respected. But Aegon died, as all men do. His successors would shape the fate of his house in the realm, for better or worse. His son, Aeneas, was a gentle, indecisive man. His reign was fraught with rebellion and instability. Lords didn't fear him, they disrespected him. When he died, his half-brother Magar the Cruel took the throne. Magar ruled with iron and fire. He slaughtered rebels, executed lords, and built the Red Keep into a fortress of terror. But Magar left no heirs. His death, found alone on the Iron Throne, impaled on its blades, was as mysterious as it was poetic. Then came a golden age. Jahari's eye, the conciliator, was wise, patient, and just. His reign brought peace and prosperity. With the help of his queen and sister Alysanne, he codified the laws, bridged the rift between faith and crown, and connected the realm with roads and reforms. Under his rule, Westeros became more than a conquered land. It became a kingdom. But even the longest reign ends. After Jaehaerys came Viserys, a king who loved peace and avoided conflict but laid the seeds of catastrophe by naming his daughter Rhaenyra as. Here begins the bloodiest chapter in Targaryen history, the Dance of the Dragons. Viserys intended for Rhaenyra to be queen, but upon his death, her half-brother Aegon II seized the throne with the backing of powerful lords. What followed was civil war, brother against sister, dragon against dragon. The skies burned, castles crumbled, innocents died, Dragonpet was stormed, royal blood spilled onto the cobblestones of King's Landing. The Dance of the Dragons left both claimants dead, countless nobles broken, and nearly every dragon extinct. By the war's end, House Targaryen still sat the throne, but its magic was broken. The few remaining dragons grew smaller and weaker until the last one died during the reign of Aegon III, called the Dragonbane. With its death, an era ended. The Age of Fire was gone. Still, the dynasty endured. Kings came and went, some strong, some weak. Most forgettable, the dragons were gone, but the Targaryens held power through marriages, politics, and the weight of their name. But the rot grew slowly. Generations passed. The bloodline thinned. Targaryens continued to wed siblings, hoping to preserve their Valyrian blood. But it often bred instability, madness, cruelty. Then came Aegon IV, the unworthier king of gluttony, corruption, and reckless ambition. On his deathbed, he legitimized all his bastards, unleashing generations of Blackfire pretenders. each claiming the throne in bloody uprisings. It was during this age of uncertainty that a boy known as Egg became king. Aegon V, once a squire to a hedge knight, rose through circumstance and character. He had tried to bring fairness to the realm, to curb the power of lords, to uplift the common folk. But power resists change. The nobility hated him. His dreams of reform died in the fire at Summerhall, a tragic attempt to hatch dragon eggs through fire and blood. From that fire came his grandson Rhaegar Targaryen, born beneath a red comet, in the ruins of magic and ambition. The line would not recover. Rhaegar grew to be beautiful, noble, melancholic, a prince, obsessed with prophecy. He believed in the prince that was promised, a savior destined to fight against the coming darkness. Some believed he thought himself that prince, others thought he believed it would be his son. But whatever he believed, it led him to Lyanna Stark. He left his wife, Ilya Martell, and vanished with Lyanna, who was betrothed to Robert Whether it was love or abduction, it didn't matter. The realm erupted. The Mad King Aerys, to Rhaegar's father, demanded the heads of the rebels. The rebellion was swift and brutal. Robert Baratheon, Ned Stark, Jon Arryn, and others rose up. Rhaegar died on the Trident, his chest caved in by Robert's warhammer. The Mad King planned to burn King's Landing with wildfire, but was killed by his own king's guard, Jaime. The capital fell. Ilya and her children were murdered. Lyanna died in childbirth, giving birth to Rhaegar's trueborn son, Aegon, who would be raised as Jon Snow, his identity hidden even from himself. The Targaryen dynasty was shattered. Only 2 children survived. Viserys, full of bitterness, and Daenerys, a babe in the womb when Dragonstone fell. They were spirited across the sea to Essos, clinging to old stories, waiting for a chance to return. Westeros believed the dragons were gone, but across the sea, the flames still flickered. Exiled, hunted, Viserys and Daenerys Targaryen, the last surviving children of the once great dynasty, wandered the free cities of Essos with no power, no army, and no coin. Viserys clung desperately to the past, whispering of crowns and vengeance. But it was Daenerys who would shape the future. She was sold into marriage by her brother, given to Khal Drogo of the Dothraki in return for the promise of an army. Yet the timid girl who wept in the shadow of her ancestors did not stay broken. She adapted, she survived. She grew into a queen not by inheritance, but by fire. Her path was unlike any Targaryen before her. She was not raised in a castle or taught the arts of statecraft. Her teachers were blood, betrayal, and hardship. She lost her husband, her child, her identity only to find power in the ashes. From the flames of Drogo's funeral pyre, 3 dragons hatched for the first time in over a century. The skies of the world once more trembled beneath wings of fire. Dragon Rhaegal Viserion. They were rebirth. With her dragons, Daenerys began her conquest not of but of Slaver's Bay. She took Astapa, Yonshkai, and Meereen, freeing thousands, earning names: Breaker of Chains, Missa, Mother of Dragons. But ruling was harder than conquering. Her dream of a better world clashed with the complexities of power. The people she freed often turned against her. Her dragons grew wild. Her advisors failed her or betrayed her. Still, she endured. Across the sea in Westeros, Jon Snow, the hidden heir to the Targaryen line, rose from Bastard of Winterfell to Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He too fought for the living, against the growing threat from beyond the wall, the White Walkers. Ancient enemies thought lost to myth. As Daenerys amassed her strength in the east, Jon battled death in the north. Eventually, their paths crossed. When Daenerys finally sailed to Westeros, it was not as a girl but as a queen with ships, soldiers, and dragons. All the while, the wheel she vowed to break turned on. Allies died, enemies schemed, tyrants clung to power, and as the Night King marched south, the living Jon and Daenerys joined forces to defeat him, and though they succeeded, the cost was immense. Viserion fell, turned into a dragon of ice and death. The war broke. Thousands perished. The threat of the dead ended, but Daenerys' war had only begun. Cersei Lannister, last queen of Westeros, refused to yield. Daenerys demanded surrender. Instead, she faced treachery, isolation, and loss. One by one, those she trusted were taken. Missandei executed. Rhaegal shot from the sky. Varys burned for betrayal. Jorah dead in her arms. And something inside Daenerys, something old, something Targaryen, began to crack. She flew to King's Landing, promising justice. The bells of surrender rang. The city yielded, but fire does not forgive. Daenerys unleashed Drogon on the capital, burning soldiers, innocents, children. In a single hour, she became the very tyrant she once vowed to destroy. Jon Snow, torn between love and duty, chose the latter. He stabbed her in the heart. Drogon howled, melting the Iron Throne into slag, as if understanding what it had cost. Then he carried her body away into the unknown, leaving Westeros broken, kingless, and forever changed. The last dragon flew into legend. The last Targaryen vanished. The legacy of House Targaryen is a tragedy of beauty and blood. They were dreamers, conquerors, tyrants, and saviors. They forged a kingdom in fire, ruled it with dragons, and fell by their own hand. No house rose higher, no house fell harder, but some say their story isn't finished. Prophecies still echo, blood still lingers. Jon Snow walks the world as a man without a name. Dragon still flies, and deep beneath the ruins of old Valyria, fires still burn. Maybe, one day, the dragons will return. Maybe, one day, fire will rise again. If you enjoyed this full journey through the lore of House Targaryen from Valyria to the ashes of the Iron Throne, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Let us know in the comments, who was the greatest Targaryen? Should the dragons return? What part of their story haunts you most? Thanks for watching.